What's up, everybody? James Zhang here, biblical success coach. I help faith-based entrepreneurs achieve quantum leaps biblically. If that's something that interests you, be sure to like, follow, share, all that type of good stuff. And we are going through a series called Can You Think and Grow Rich Biblically, based off of the greatest success Bible in the world, Think and Grow Rich. In fact, if you've read or heard of this book, comment below Rich. Just curious. Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody. Great to see you. But the question is, can we do this biblically? So we are actually going chapter by chapter, and we are going through the actual Bible itself. What's funny, both these books, they kind of look closely like each other. So there's different things that we can take a look at. And today we're going to talk about chapter 9, which is talking about persistence. But can you have unwavering persistence? How does this all work and everything? So let me read out of the first chapter here, and then we're going to go through a couple of verses here. Persistence, chapter 9, the sustained effort necessary to induce faith. That's intense, okay? Persistence is an essential factor in the procedure of transmuting desire into its monetary equivalent. That sounds good. The basis of persistence is the power of will. Will, power, and desire, when properly combined, make an irresistible pair. And we all know persistence is important, don't we? Persistence wears down resistance. Anything you've ever done in life, whether it's as a business person, in life, as a mom, persistence is super important. But if you're anything like me, when it comes to going towards your goals, when it comes to growing towards success, we've all dealt with wavering bouts of lack of persistence. And I don't know if you feel this way, but definitely for me, I have times when I'm moving forward, I feel fired up, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm unmotivated. A trouble comes up, a challenge comes up, life comes up, and then I go back down. And then I go back up because I get fired up again and move forward. And then boom, I hit something else and I go back down. And it's like, like a yo-yo diet. It's like this yo-yo persistence that goes on. And I wonder if anyone else also feels that way as well too. Or if it's just me. That's you. Awesome. Thanks for letting me know it's not just me right there. So what does the Bible say about persistence? And I believe that as we go through this, you'll find that if you actually know what the Bible says, there are principles in here that will help you not just to remain persistent, but persistent in an unwavering way. Let me read through Isaiah 55, verse 11, or verse 10 and verse 11. It says this: "For as the rain and the snow come down from heaven," this is God speaking, "as the rain and snow come down from heaven and do not return there without watering the earth and make it produce and sprout, and providing seed to the sower and the bread to the eater," get this, 55:11, "so will my word be which goes out of my mouth. It will not return to me empty, without accomplishing what I desire and without succeeding in the purpose for which I sent it." Could this mean that God has a will for your life? That God has a word for your life? Now, he has an ultimate will, yes. But could it be that he has a specific will, and for anybody that follows that call and follows that will, there's a difference of a good goal and a God goal. Could it mean that if I go for a goal that God has called for each of us, that there's a different type of persistence? Because if God wills it, then it will be done. And I like that, because what I start to realize is the reality is I falter all the time. But if we know that God is a promise and God is a word and God is a will, and whatever he wills will be done on earth as it is in heaven, then there's a different type of confidence and persistence, because no matter, there's going to be times of doubt and there's going to be up and downs and everything, but his word returns not void. I'm glad that resonates. Now, I think another place to look at, the Bible is a book, a tons of principles and promises. There's also a lot of characters that we can study as well too. And when you think about someone that's persistent, one of the very first things, and my friend Joe asked, how do you know if it's a God's will? I actually did another study on that, so you might want to take a look at the YouTube. And there's many different ways to confirm through your word, through his people, through prayer, through confirmation. There's a couple different things you can do on that. But one of the best ways to know that if you know if it's God's will is you start pursuing it. You start moving towards that. So one of the best people to study on persistence, and there's a lot of people in the world. Like when you think about persistence in the world right now, I think about Elon Musk trying to get us to Mars. I think about many different types of people. Maybe it's someone in your family. But I would have to say one of the most persistent people in all the Bible is a guy named Paul. A guy named Paul. Now, if you don't know who Paul is, Paul wrote actually a third of the New Testament. A third of the actual chapters in the New Testament. That's a lot of writing. Paul, who is known as Saul, was a Jew before, and he was persecuting the early Christians. And then he had an encounter with God that so forever changed him. Then God changed his name from Saul to Paul, and he became a preacher. He became an evangelist. He became an apostle to who's called the Gentiles. The Gentiles are those that were not of Jewish descent, but those that were outside of that. And he went around, and get this guy was pretty prolific in his time of ministry. This guy traveled on foot over 10,000 miles. Can you imagine walking? Just think about this, right? When was the last time you walked even a mile? Like I walk a mile a day right now. We do our daily walks with our dog. So if I walked in a mile a day, 10,000 days is a lot. So this guy walked 10,000 miles on foot. He was arrested 3 times. And actually, by the end of it, he got martyred. He actually got beheaded. This dude had a call. This dude was persistent. This guy has been beat, whipped, flogged, all types of things. And he kept on going towards the goal. How would you like it if you had unwavering persistence like that? Well, this is what he says. Let me quote 2 verses talking about his persistence. How do you attain that? He says in 1 Corinthians 9, chapter 9, verse 24, do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but only one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may win. So here's one principle to persistence. Set your goals wisely. You know, one of the biggest reasons why we do not have persistence in the things that we do? Straight up, it's because the goals that we're going for are not worth your life. I want to make an extra $1,000. I want to make an extra $10,000. I want to lose 5 pounds. Like, these are all cool goals. But you know the right goal to set? A goal that you can stake your life on. A goal that you can say, this is my call that I can continue to go for. They say that when the why is strong, the how becomes easy. Now, the number one goal that Paul has, and the number one goal that we should have as a person of faith, is to love God with all heart, mind, and soul, and to love our neighbor as ourselves. But what about your specific call in your life? What about your specific goal? We were created to create. You are called to do something in this world. That burning desire, those ambitions, those things that are happening, it says if you delight yourself in the Lord, then the Lord will give you the desires of your heart. There are things in your heart that you've been chosen to be able to do and uniquely gifted and set apart to be able to do. You weren't just put here just to live life, be saved, and then boom, wait till heaven. There's a part to do right now. To set a goal that is so worth it that you'd be willing to stake your life on it. That's what receives persistence. And I think there's a goal that we should have at the end of our life. You know what a life well lived is? A life well lived is not living life and making all the money and then retiring and just sipping on pina coladas and being on some island somewhere. I believe this is a great, great goal to have. See what Paul said, and it totally resembles what Jesus said right before the crucifixion. 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 6. This is Paul's last letter before he gets martyred. And he's traveled over 10,000 miles on foot. Right now, he's currently imprisoned in Rome for the things that he is basically just pursuing his call. And this is what he says to Timothy. He says, "For I am already being poured out as a drink offering." Isn't that just like what Jesus said? "And the time of my departure has come." 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 7. This should be our wish. This is ultimate persistence at the end of our life. "I have fought the good fight. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith." This dude was persistent. This thing is important. And you can see in what Paul's saying here that if you want to have an incredibly impactful life, what's important is for those of faith to, number one, all right, if you're not someone that's settled in your faith and you haven't accepted the call of Jesus, that's like the ultimate place to get to, right? So number one is, of course, that. But you see in what Paul did, he wasn't okay with just knowing Jesus as his Lord. He wanted to do as much as he could on this side of eternity. And what he set out to do was to have a goal, a burning desire to think and grow rich. Rich is not only just in money. Now, he had enough money to survive and everything, but he wanted to make an impact. He wanted to be able to do the things that he was specifically called to do, as each of us specifically want to do as well too on this side of the planet. And he committed himself to a cause, a goal that was so big that he was willing to stake the rest of his life for. Have you thought about that? Is the things that you're pursuing right now so big that you're willing to stake your life on it? And he kept on running this race, and he literally did for 10,000 miles on foot. He wrote a third of the New Testament, and by the end, what he said is what we should all say as well too, is I've run the good race. I've fought the good fight, and I'm ready for the next chapter. That's how you get unwavering persistence. And I'll tell you this, as a person of faith, I believe that there is a different type of call. I believe that there's a different type of persistence, because willpower, we've all realized, is so short-lived, isn't it? So short-lived. But if it's God's power, there's something different. Remember, Isaiah chapter 55, verse 11, "My word," this is God's word, "will not return void." Huge, huge thing. So I leave you with that thought. How to have unwavering persistence. If this helped, be sure to share this. Subscribe to our YouTube. We put these Bible studies and a lot more cool content there as well too. And I'd love to invite you as well. We are in a phase right now where January 15th, we are kickstarting something real cool. We are doing a live 7-day, I call it the 7-day Miraculous Breakthrough Challenge. I'm actually in lieu of launching our first book ever. It's called The Miraculous Breakthrough Formula. I'm super excited. A lot of people are excited. It is the 7-day challenge, biblically guaranteed to help you get unstuck and achieve the impossible. I'm walking through biblically proven principles of fasting, prayer, and Bible study with a group now that are guaranteed to help you to achieve incredible things in your lives. So if you're interested in that, take a look at the Kickstarter links in the bio. Also, if you're interested in participating with us on walking people through this, first time we're doing this live with a lot of people super excited about this. I can't wait. But in a couple of days, we're going to be kickstarting that. If you're interested in more information on that, check out, we have a Telegram group called Kingdom Builders. You can look in the links in the bio and the caption, wherever that it is, and join that. And we're going to do this live in a couple of days. But I hope this message, and I hope that this series of Can You Think and Go Rich Biblically blesses you. We're going to continue to go through this chapter by chapter. We'll see you guys back on tomorrow. Other than that, God bless. Have